Australian government, it has never wavered in delivering dividends of democracy. Godday Orubebe over his attempt to disrupt the 2015 general elections, which produced him as president.
I call on Nigerians to remain steadfast in governance to deliver the best of dividends of democracy to Nigerian people. Here, I must digress to raise an observation. Mr. Urubebe, who ought to have come and listened to Professor Jega deliver this lecture. We are lucky that there was light and we had the television to see the confrontation between Mr. Urubebe and Professor Jega. It made a live impression and it has made
the fact that development only thrives where there is peace, transparency and accountability, justice and equity, freedom of speech and choice.
Criticized the modest gains of the Buhari administration, saying he was merely scratching the surface regarding the challenges confronting Nigeria. Jega noted that the All Progressives Congress-led government was deficit in effective governance mechanism, while condemning government's hate.
And there is no better illustration of this than what has happened in many of the recent party congresses. And really, these portend danger. If political parties cannot organize with civility in the general elections. So it is very, very important that we pay attention to this, because if there is a crisis in the elections, some of these issues are outside of the scope of responsibility of the Electoral Commission. But in the end, it is the electoral of addressing violence and conflicts related to election, and in particular in improving the scope of internal democracy within political parties.
On the forthcoming general election in 2019, Jega said there is cause for compromises among political actors, saying there was need for celebrating Nigeria's democratic journey, looking at the antecedents that trailed it in the past.
I believe it is being done not only as part of celebrating democracy. Let me join all Nigerians to celebrate 19 years, as I always say, almost 2 decades of interrupted democracy. This is not a mean achievement. It's not a small achievement at all, and we should celebrate it. And we should be proud that we are celebrating. With a population of over 170 million, to still stay together, to still practice democracy for 19 years is a great achievement, and we should be proud that we've been able to do that.
Remind us of the wish that is going. So I want to end by making this rallying call to all Nigerians, south, west, north, east, across all divides, to unite for the common good. In a united, peaceful, and democratic Nigeria.
Nigerians from all welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum on Galaxy Television, and the clip you saw there was the presidency rating his administration outlining the policy and program achievements of the Buhari administration since it assumed office 3 years ago on May 29, 2015. Now, it's a 41-page document, and the fact sheet will be uploaded regularly, showcasing improvement in the economic indices, rise in investment in agriculture and infrastructure, Jega made some comments where he indicted the National Assembly, saying that they are accused of being, how will I put it now, legislative duties, accepting bribes, alleged allegations against the National Assembly. He also quoted the fact there of how can the All Progressive Progress Bemi Bamidele was shot alongside another person while having the governorship APC rally for the party for Dr. Kayode Fayemi. Now, all these things now are still under his administrations, and we're trying to evaluate him and, of course, a scorecard and his achievements so far.
That's from when they say they have achieved all, Mr. Shote talked about how the president denied the manifesto that brought him to power. How can you be the party that brought you to power had a manifesto in which was used to convince voters to vote for you, and you came to power and say you have been driving them? Then this issue of propaganda. I mean, the APC took the Nigeria. I've not seen this kind of propaganda until after the Civil War. That was when this kind of propaganda happened last year with the late Chukwumeriju. That was the propaganda. I don't know whether they live in denial or they purposely push out falsehood. I don't know. I don't know how somebody can do that and still go to sleep with his two eyes closed. Everything, how can you say you have fulfilled everything when we have not even fulfilled anything? Last time there was even all the government apologists and party apologists could not name one project that commenced in 2015 and have been completed till now. None. So that shows that this government is just churning out propaganda. Now, do you know how many people that have been retrenched from their jobs? Do you know how many foreign companies that have folded and then left the country? Do you know how many of them that have relocated to Ghana here? And so people are losing their jobs. Housing is on the decline. You go to the property market now, people can no longer buy houses. Many houses are empty. Go to the high rises in the Lagos Island area of Lagos. Then the issue of fuel. When they broke it down, saying that actually that at the pump price of petrol, that's supposed to be 45 naira per litre, and they gave us all the statistics, only for the same government to come. After a few months, they say they have technically defeated the Boko Haram. Technically. And that means defeat. So those languages, those are semanticism. Now, only for Boko Haram to keep striking back. And then, many things. So I think that this government has not done the security issue. We can stay here till tomorrow and still talk about. The evidence is there to see for everybody. From the crisis of, since the Fulani security crisis with another insecurity crisis. So it's a replacement of one crisis with a bigger one. Because before, the Boko Haram was contained in the northeast. And there was a time they were having 17 local governments under them where they hosted their. And now, these governments have refused to call these marauding herdsmen as terrorists. Meanwhile, they were quick to call other groups that were peacefully protesting terrorists. Right. So that is double speak. To crush these people. As we say, the Nigerian military has the power to always crush these people. Then the other area they talked about, fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy issue, there's a new report that came up 2 weeks ago that this government is even subsidizing. So this government should wake up when they talk of corruption, which is their main mantra. The corruption is nowhere to be found. When you are this party, you are a thief or alleged thief. You cross over to the other party, the EFCC will drop the case. Cross over grants in the IDP camps, to the issue of the 25 billion, to the issue of the money found with the NIA. All of this, none of them has been prosecuted. And then the ones you have already been prosecuted by EFCC, once you cross the political party, you join. So this government has not been known for anything, because the main thing that and all, It is not about the indices. It's not about the statistics. It's not about the propaganda. It's about how does the ordinary Nigerian fare now, and how did he fare in 2014 and 2015? And the answer is the average Nigerian citizen is worse off than it would.
Well, that's not news. I mean, you recall a minister of education under the Obasanjo administration who was alleged to have bribed National Assembly members with 55 million, and he was dropped. And I think and I think the Senate president probably also lost because he alleged also that National Assembly members were asking for money from him before he could be confirmed, as well as even when they want to pass the budgets of those ministries and before the National Assembly is because they are asking them for I want to look at the economy. Listen, macroeconomic policies as well as that we can feel. We went into recession. Why did we get out of it? They say we got out of it. We got out of it simply because they were able to pacify. Did not do anything to get the economy to be better. $1 for more than 360. Why would you? What is it necessary? It even says that we cannot even leave the dollar to be floating. We're the #1 importer of generating sets. Just go to Ikorodu Road. And tankers, you know, lining up to go to the ports. Why? Because we import practically everything into this country. Food items, your clothes. If you look at what you are wearing, you see that practically everything you are wearing is imported. We import practically everything. If you want to talk about the basic, it's supposed to handle 30 million metric tons of cargo. Involved in 2 textile factories. At the best of time, they were able to employ about 1,500 people. I'm using that word advisedly, female gate man. It should have been a man manning the gate, but it's a female gate man. That's the only employee in that place. They tell us that inflation has been dropping in the last. True, it is more than that. Ask me why. As soon as you devalued the naira from 199 to add that 33% to the 14 or whatever percent you are saying it is. So it's about 40% interest. Floor of the interest rate is 14%. By the time you add the spread, you are getting 29%, 30%. Somebody was even telling me yesterday that even some banks are the monetary policies are also. Where are these reports that they keep telling us? I read that document. By December, we will have this. Is that supposed to? That's not a score sheet. You are telling us what you want to. You are campaigning already. The one you campaign, tell us what you are campaigning.
All right, thank you very much, Lekon Shote. Lekon Shote has basically emphasized on the economy of the country, while Ambrose was more of talking about the corruption and, of course, security. But so far, so good, Victor Aye, what can you say that the Buhari administration has done well? I mean, talking about the Empire Initiative, talking about fighting corruption, and of course, the return of the Chibok girl. What do you think that Buhari administration has done good?
Well, I'm not a prophet of doom, but I cannot say what is not practicable, what you cannot see, because we are all in the country. And I don't need somebody to tell me whether the government is performing or not. If the government is performing, we always see it. You don't need a CISOYA to prevent corruption, because the best way to fight corruption is prevention. I've always advocated for prevention, because this issue of using money to fight corruption, after allowing corruption to take place, you now use money to fight corruption. We are not profiting anything. Today you see EFCC workers in Dubai, tomorrow they are in Britain, they stay in the other guise of looking for money to recover. So to me, it's not the best. A government that says and promise that it wants to fight corruption supposed to come up with policies. I have not seen any single policy introduced by this government, which they told us that is peopled by they are using today were introduced by the previous government. What they will now tell you is that the previous government did not have the political way to implement it. How can the government introduce something but doesn't have a political way? The government was doing the issue of TSA in phases, and that was one of the reasons why we were plunged into build a factory. You now put all your money in the bank, you lock it up there. Won't even be hungry. The children will be hungry. That was what led us to the recession at that time. So this government say it's fighting corruption, but as soon as Timipre Silva, the EFCC recover about 48 houses from him, the same government under the same government seized those houses from him. Timipre Silva, former governor of Bayelsa State, this government now handed over returned those houses to him. Can we say this government is actually fighting corruption? All we are seeing is propaganda, naming opposition without conducting investigation, and that is why they are failing in court. Because if you don't conduct corruption, can we pinpoint one person that have been adequately and effectively prosecuted and convicted under this government? The answer is no. The answer is no. Jolly Yame that we are talking about, that case has been on for almost 10 years. It didn't begin with this government. James Ugulare of Adamawa was sick, and they allow him to. If you are sick, do you go to foreign hospital? Metu has been saying that, let me go and treat myself. They say no. Because you are accused of corruption, you cannot go away. But another man that has been convicted in the same country was allowed to go out. So you can see the ambivalent way of handling issue in this country. That is why you cannot really define every day. In this government, if every day comes up with different magic. And that is why the direction of the government is very, very difficult to trace.
Thank you very much, Victor. And of course, we've been reviewing the 3 years administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, this day in particular also saw the 51st anniversary of the Biafra Republic. And of course, we had that the IPOB ordered a seat-at-home order for Igbos. Now, while all these things were happening now in some Igbo states now, in some places where we had Igbos, some of them actually went along with the order. They didn't go out, while others in some states, it was futile as people went about doing their activities in Onitsha. The commercial hub of Anambra State was grounded as thousands of Igbos from all walks of life in the state observed the sit-at-home call by pro-Biafra group. Despite plans by both federal and state government to truncate the exercise and ensure that all come off to perform their daily lawful duties, the Igbo for once again displayed some level of oneness as they unanimously decided to stay at home. When Galaxy News crew stepped out to monitor the exercise, only the state capital experienced partial compliance as heavy security operatives went around that interval parading to ensure no breakdown of law and order. A Southeast-based social activist, Comrade Emeka Umeagbalasi, who confirmed to be observing the sit-at-home order, said there is nothing wrong with one trying to remember his or her lost ones, especially as it concerns killings.
These groups are mere symbols. You know, no matter how beautiful a law is, it cannot enforce itself. So I think what is taking place is that if you look at the whole thing, I don't even accept the word order. But I can accept the word call. sit-at-home appeal call is not order, because it is something that has to do with, if you like, a sort of referendum, a sort of conscientious decision. It's an appeal. People deciding to stay back today in honor of that call. Media, the issue of the sit-at-home being fully observed in some places, and recording a kind of physical non-observance in some areas is understandable. You know, the society is always divided into blue-collar and white-collar setting, and it is expected to succeed, you know, in blue-collar society, because the
Right now, we are trying to analyze the IPOP sit-at-home order. And in Abakaliki, the sit-at-home order flopped as citizens of the state were seen going about their normal businesses. In Enugu State, witnessed total compliances in observing the day, and the tour around the town by newsmen showed that few movements were noticed as shops, markets, and schools remained closed, with few people seen around, although few commercial transport businesses were seen making brisk businesses. And about 224 billion naira to the sit-at-home called by the IPOP on Wednesday to commemorate the slain Biafran soldiers. And this revelation came as stakeholders and experts put to review revenue loss of the Southeast Zone over the one-day sit-at-home order to over 40 billion naira, as the zone relies heavily on buying and selling of its sustenance. Now, how do you see the sit-at-home order? Do they have to
Sit-at-home order was not imposed. A group of people who believe they are fighting a cause told their fellow countrymen, in solidarity to our cause, don't come out to mark a particular day. And the people did not come out. Nobody put a gun on anybody's head. So it's not imposed. It was a means of identifying with them. Having said that, I want to lay some background. This is a country where our history some terrible things happened in the past. Some good things also happened along your historical course. Now, in Europe, those things are celebrated. You celebrate the Auschwitz camp, where the Nazi regime, all those things are. We suppress history. And therefore, a group of people came, I read a lot of war books in the Biafran Civil War, between the Biafran and Nigerian Civil War, between 1967 to 1970. Where are they in our history books? They have suppressed it. They won't talk about that. Then the Biafran War, even the June 12 that happened recently, and many governors are now suppressing it. We went to create a democracy day that led to this democracy. It was the June 12 crisis that led to the democracy day in 1999. We have suppressed that. So first of all, that goes to show that 1967 to 12th of January 1970 cannot be wished away. Over 6 million people who were citizens of Nigeria were killed. A lot of them were starved. We have seen pictures. We have seen footages from the BBC. We have seen footages from overseas. Celebrating our history, whether the good, the bad, or the ugly, over our history. The IPOP will not have this kind of edge. Now, the IPOP people have been seen as messiahs of a particular group of people, because this government can continue to say that this particular group of people, because of what happened almost 51 years ago, are still second-class citizens. And that is why the president of people who voted for him in 2017, you are saying that kind of statement 50 years later. So that goes to show that we are just giving the power and the verve to the IPOP. Now, how did IPOP have that power, people power, to tell people sit at home and they sit at home? The people that is what forced people. Imagine a sitting government and a group that you have probably proscribed still have that kind of power. So my advice is that the whether you like it or not, sit-at-home order was successful, very successful. And that has given more verve to IPOB.
Okay, let's hear from Leko Chote now. What do you feel about this sit-at-home order? Do you feel it was actually necessary? And of course, the group is calling that getting stronger, or was it just another Remembrance Day?
Rita, let me just quickly point out something. Anybody, whether IPOB, anybody, issues such a organization, even if you don't believe in the cause of IPOB, you are going to be careful for your safety. You are going to be careful so that people do not come and burn your shop. That if you don't come out, I will seize your shop. That is a threat. So that should. But I expected what we got. I expected is a group of people calling for attention to a particular day. Why is a group of people of a segment of Nigeria, the Igbo of Nigeria or the southeast of Nigeria, don't you think pay attention to? In 2014, there was a conference called, shall we say, National Conference, to look at the issue of Nigeria. Don't you think that somebody will say, wait a minute, you can't do that in this state? Whereas the president sent the IGP to Benue State, and he did not even follow up. To them, they report to the IGP, who reports to the commander-in-chief, to the president. You know, so some of the issues that we are talking about, that, for example, somebody who has 200 and something, because it comes from a particular part of Nigeria, you say you cannot go. I would have thought that in teachers, provide equipment, provide schools, provide libraries, provide resources to up the performance of those people. Haven't you heard that before exam, teachers who teach from primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 33 of them, 1,000 of them took an exam. 27,000 of them. It is possible for somebody with primary 2 who crashed, who failed out of primary 2, to be employed by his friends, who is local government chairman, to teach primary 6 students. Now, what does...
I have to cut you short there, but because of our time, it's really fast spent, but I want to still hear from Victor Aya now. What do you feel about the sit-at-home order? Do you feel it was actually necessary?
It is necessary. You know, we are people that like to deceive ourselves. And that is why we always find ourselves in this quagmire, because if you have a group of people, you say they cannot leave the country, and yet you don't want to give them the respect they deserve, then what do you think will happen? You have a wife at home. The wife, you say you love the wife. The wife say she wants to leave the home. Do you continue to beat that wife? The answer is no. You pet the wife, you pamper the wife. But in our own case, you say Igbo must not leave, and yet you are killing them, and you think they will remain? Look at the structure of the country today. All the security agencies are concentrated in one hand, one aspect, and you think there will be security? Bring a Yoruba man or Igbo man to become chief of army staff, and let me tell you whether we'll have issue of herdsmen. I'm saying it on national television. Appoint Igbo man or Yoruba as a chief of army staff, and the security.
So in other words, you feel that the sit-at-home was necessary?
It was necessary, and it will continue to be necessary. Conduct a referendum. Why are we afraid of conducting a referendum? If you conduct a referendum today and the people are defeated, they will no longer have the power to demand for their own state. But as long as you say you will not conduct a referendum, this